Hey, good afternoon, everyone. A couple of very quick housekeeping items. As always, please keep yourself on mute. Don't be afraid to add your affiliation next to your Zoom ID. Arnie is with us as always, so if you have record permissions or record asks, let us know. We'll make sure you can record this video news conference. And if you have a question, use the virtual raised hand, and we will take your questions here in just a matter of moments. Well, certainly, after a thrilling Indy 500, the season begins to pivot to the streets of downtown Detroit and the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix presented by Lear this coming weekend. Today's guest has some fond memories of the D. Back in 2018, made his NTT INDYCAR Series debut over at Belle Isle. He returns to Detroit after an eighth place finish in the 500. He has three top tens this season. And the driver of the number 14, AJ Foyt Racing, Sexton Property Chevrolet, Santino Ferrucci, joins us from parts unknown. He's driving back home to Texas, and then only, of course, fly back to Detroit in this area, Indianapolis area,
Um,
in a couple days. So that's how it worked. All right, first things first, we're going to forgive you for not turning on the video because safety first, Santino. But where are you right now? Give us the play-by-play.
yeah, I appreciate you guys joining me. Yeah, I don't want to do Noah Gragson and do the video conference while I drive. So if y'all excuse me. And I'm in Missouri, so I've got about 500 miles left to go to get to Dallas, and yeah, it'd take me about 8 hours.
Nice. It's a full car too, right?
Full car. I've got it's myself, my wife Renee, both of our pups Kodak and Cleo. Uh, Everybody's enjoying the road trip. So Renee's taking a nap, Cleo's taking a nap, and Kodak's up with us listening in.
That's great. Every now and then you got to take a road trip like that, so it's all good. Hey,
It's very true.
coming off the top 10 at Indy, I mean, there was plenty of buzz around the team, I think, throughout the course of May and certainly on race day. How do you guys keep that momentum going now as you head to Detroit?
Yeah, obviously, Indy was honestly a really tough 3 weeks for us. The GP didn't go well. We had a lot of car failures. Um, we had quite a couple mechanical things throughout the month of May. So to do as well as we did, we were really proud of that result. All things considered, it was a lot of hurdles. Um, and yeah, I think we're just looking forward to getting back on the street courses. Really going to utilize that Penske partnership right now because we were terrible there last year and they were pretty good. So looking forward to seeing what we can do and what we can improve upon. Excited to be back at the dual pit lane. That was honestly one of the coolest things. Uh, so excited to hear about all the repave changes that they've done for the end of Jefferson and for turn nine. Um, and yeah, I'm just hoping that we have a little bit more fun this year.
Yeah, one more before we open it up for questions. And I was going to ask you what you really liked about the streets of downtown Detroit layout. I mean, the pit lane is as unique as it gets, right?
Oh yeah, honestly, Detroit is probably now. Belle Isle was my favorite street course. Um, Not saying that because it was my season opener and I celebrated my birthday there. I genuinely loved Belle Isle. I thought it was one of the best racing tracks that we had on the calendar. And honestly, Detroit really lives up to that. And downtown Detroit, and it's one of the most scenic tracks that we go to by far. Just with the GM Renaissance building in the background, you have, all the views from all the buildings, the parking garage structures. It's a very scenic race all things considered for where we are.
Yeah. Unique for sure. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Again, if you have a question, use the virtual raised hand, and we will begin with Dan Jones from DiveBombMotorsports.com. Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Hi Dave, not bad. How are you?
Good.
How are you, Santino? Hopefully you've had a good few weeks after the 500. Um, First of all, we saw the strength of Penske obviously winning and sweeping the front row. How much do you feel they benefited from the alliance with you over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, so obviously the race cars are the race cars, but the Q cars I think really kind of showed that alliance in full form. We were missing something. We couldn't quite figure out what was going on with our car. We could get it above the 233.2 mark all day. We're not quite sure what that was, but same thing in the race. You know, we were just missing a little bit of speed. But those guys did an excellent job. I mean, they built quality cars, man, and they showed up. they did very well. I mean, and vice versa for us. I mean, we built some really good race cars. We were on their dampers, so we were running our own setup, but their equipment. So honestly, it worked both ways for us pretty well.
And on the sort of flip side of the occasion, particularly looking at Road and Street, do you feel you've benefited from that alliance significantly so far compared to last year?
Oh, definitely. I mean, just take a look at well, St. Pete doesn't really count because we didn't make it more than three corners last year. But look at a race like Barber, right? We last year I think we finished 18th, 19th. We're kind of nowhere. This year we were leading, running up front, and just kind of, you know, slightly different strategy, but we still ended up seventh. We were top 10 in the points going into Indy. We've had a much better year so far, and a lot of that is thanks to the Penske Alliance. We still have our own things that we're sorting out. All of our engineering department is brand new, with the exception of Michael Cannon, and one of our DAGs. But other than that, yeah, it's been quite a learning process for us. I feel like we're with the continuity of just the driver, unfortunately. So it's a lot to learn, and not a lot of time.
And then just looking back at the 500, I just wanted to see sort of your take on the first 100 laps or so. Did you find the driving a bit aggressive? We saw a lot of cautions compared to previous years that sort of ruin your flow a little bit, maybe hamper you a tiny bit.
I kind of figured. I actually told my boss Larry that I felt like this would be a very caution-filled race. Um, not I don't think it's due to the aggressivity of anybody in particular. I mean, look, I was my fair share of aggressive. I mean, I was three wide lap one, getting going between Larson and Rossi. Like, knew I was going to get by him. That's how I did it. I think what happened really, and why you saw so many wrecks, is Firestone is really trying to build the tire around the hybrid. So they stiffened up the left sides for the weight, which is the correct thing to do. Just the issue with that, and then us not implementing the hybrid till mid Ohio. I mean, you can't tell them, hey, look, go remake God knows how many tires they make for us. 33 cars, and we have like 25 sets. So quick math there is a lot. They're not going to go remake all the tires. So the cars were definitely a little bit more free this year. And then everybody's really pushing limits because it's super competitive. So everybody's trying to ride that razor edge, and unfortunately, we saw a lot of wrecks, and luckily everyone walked away, and thank Delara for making a safe race car.
Thanks, Santino. Best of luck for the weekend. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dan. Tommy T, go ahead with Santino.
Hey guys, thank you so much, Dave. Real quick, Santino, congratulations on a great weekend. You ran a very smart and mature race. How important was the strategist in your ear telling you when to calm down, when to go? What kind of role did that play?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we could have led a lot of laps. Like we could have led almost as many as Scotty if we really wanted to. And that there was at one point in the race where Joseph was basically braking in front of me to get me to pass him. And so because I wouldn't, Scott passed me, and then they tried to both get me to go out front. And like, we weren't born yesterday. I've been racing here for a while now. They were suffering massively in the lead with fuel, and it had massive potential to hurt them later in the race. So they wanted someone that wasn't one of their two cars out front. I knew better. My boss knew better. So we just kind of sat there and rode, and it was kind of comical actually to watch from my point of view. If you see a car that's supposed to be doing 235 miles an hour at the end of the straight, hitting the brakes at the bricks to try and save fuel essentially I mean, it's not the race that you want to run, but sometimes that's what happens with the way that the yellows fall. I hate that Indy's a fuel race. It's kind of annoying. It's nice to just run wide open there, but that's part of strategy today. And yeah, no, trust me, I really wanted to lead. It would have been awesome to have the 14 homes for troops up front more often. But for the first 100 laps, because of the first caution, the way it felt, we were all in a fuel game.
Another follow-up question relative to your paint scheme. It was incredibly attractive especially on TV. Tell us what it meant to you to drive a car blanketed in the United States flag.
Man, honestly, it's an honor. It's not just one thing that makes this special. It's driving the 14 for AJ Foyt, driving the American car, your American flag car, the Stars and Stripes on Memorial Day weekend, and then supporting an incredible charity like the Homes for Our Troops charity for our post 9/11 vets. All of those things combined, the amount of military personnel that comes into our garage to hang out with us, all the fans that come out to the track, they honestly, I mean, they cheer that car on just based on what it stands for. So it's really cool to be in that car and then be up front, and it's a privilege to have that opportunity. And yeah, it's honestly it's so cool. I'd cheer that car on too if I was in the stands having a couple of beers because it's America. Why not?
There you go, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dave. Congratulations, Santino.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tommy. I think you may have touched on it yesterday in last night, the victory celebration. I know a lot of drivers did, but the fans, the way that stuck through the rain delay, obviously, or headed back to their cars and then came back out. I mean, you thought, going green at 4:44, you thought it was at 12:30 in the afternoon. I mean, it didn't miss a beat, did it?
No, it was honestly impressive. I don't understand how 400,000 people come pack in, leave, and then come back in such an orderly fashion. I mean, that is organized, and it was one of like. And then the other thing, like I was sitting in my bus, there's some people still out braving it in the stands, man, getting soaked. I was like, I can't imagine sitting in my wet socks or underwear for, the next 8 hours. Felt so bad for those guys.
Dry T-shirt sales went through the roof. No, I'm kidding. I don't know, but I bet they did.
I'm sure they.
All right, Eric Smith, IndyCar.com. Go ahead with Santino.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Santino, I was looking last year heading to Detroit. You were 15th in points. You're 12th this year. Your top 10s have come at all three disciplines of tracks we've ran on. What's the outlook for the rest of this season? And have your goals maybe shifted now that you're kind of coming into the real season now with a championship run? Have they shifted at all from where they were before we got to St. Pete earlier this year?
No, I think, we were always in the mind of this being a 2-year program. It was definitely more challenging than I anticipated this year with Penske. I think a lot of us were kind of thinking plug and play. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. I do drive similar to one of the three, but I am kind of in between on my own little island with my driving style. I do like a very loose race car mid corner, and I've been trying to this year. It's been really good because it's made me drive a bit more of a pushy race car. And it showed when I've been able to do it correctly. Last year we only had one top 10, and that was at the Speedway. This year we now have 3. We have one at a street course, one at a road course, and obviously Indy. So I just think the team's consistency is getting much better. The 2 races we didn't do so well, one of which we missed the strategy, the other one we had a couple of failures in the race. So it's not for the lack of trying. We could definitely be fighting for a top 10 in points for the rest of the year.
Yeah, you just mentioned. I was going to ask that as follow up. You're only 20 points from 10th right now. Do you feel that's a realistic endeavor? You feel like you can be in the top 10 by season's end?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I definitely think I'm better than a couple of the people in front of me. Feel like I'm more consistent than a couple of them as well. So I don't see as to why not, right? So it's one of those things, though. We are a small team. We do got to keep that in mind. We're yet to run a perfectly clean weekend. We keep having little things go wrong in and throughout. It's very hard when most people have more staff on their catering than we do on our race cars. So it's a very uphill battle in today's sport. I mean, you think maybe 15 years ago we wouldn't be talking about this because it was a different sport. Now everything's so tight, the competition is unbelievably high. So attention to detail is really what makes the difference in making sure we do everything correct.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. Safe travels back home, and then we'll see you in a few days.
Thanks. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Eric. Hey, you touched on something I want to quick follow up with. Consistency. How difficult? I mean, it sounds very simple, right? But it's clearly not. It doesn't matter the race team, doesn't matter the driver. How difficult is it just to be consistent?
Man, it is the easiest yet hardest thing to do. If you think about the amount of discipline, not just myself, but everybody needs to have to strive for perfection, it's very difficult in a sport like this, and it's very difficult on our crews. We're going. Well, we've been nonstop. We went to the GP to Indy. We're going to Detroit to Road America, then to testing. I mean, my poor crew chief's fence got swept away in a tornado while we were doing qualifying. But the storms have gone through Houston. He hasn't even been home yet. I mean, I'm going home for a shower, a bag change, and I get on a flight tomorrow. So, when this is where it really counts. You really got to dig down deep, and you got to make sure you get all the rest you can at night. And, these are the races that really make a big swing on your championship. We get through these next 3 weeks clean and consistent. We're going to be sitting really pretty before we get into the summer races.
Yeah, everyone talks about May, but this month of June coming up is it's a stretch, right? And I know you're looking forward to the hybrid test at Milwaukee Mile in a couple weeks too.
Oh yeah, and like I said, for our guys, I mean, this is really tough because it's a Houston-based team, so all these guys are away from home, or at least on my 14 car. So it's very difficult. It's looking forward to everything that's coming along, and I'm sure they are as well. So said we're trying to keep our heads down now and really focus on details and make most of it.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone has a follow-up, let us know. Let's go in the meantime. Alejandro from Pit Lane Motor. Go ahead, Alejandro.
Thanks, Dave. Santino, first of all, congratulations for your big result in the 500. Just ask you about all these weeks. It's been a busy, very busy weeks for the IndyCar drivers. Just how tough physically and mentally has it been these weeks for you? Just being in the road course, the qualifying in Indy 500, the Indy 500. Now Detroit next week, Road America. How tough has it been this month, these 5 weeks for you?
Yeah, physically I feel great. I'm in great shape, especially compared to last year. It was nice to get a full season and all the training. So physically I'm good. Mentally, it's a lot. Honestly, it's actually funny. Everyone makes fun of me for kind of driving everywhere. But I'm not gonna lie. There's nothing more stress free than an open road, and no distractions. And so for me right now to be driving home from Indy with the dogs and with everybody, it's like a nice break from consistently checking your phone or worrying about sending emails or doing this or doing that. It's calming to me. Click on some tunes, get a nice reset, wake up tomorrow, back to work.
And this year, the championship is more competitive than last year. Alex is still the leader, but there is more small differences in the championship. Remember that last year that you have achieved a third position in the 500, if I remember well. Just how tough is to make that great result for you? You've mentioned that you are really, really consistent in your results, but just how tough is to have this a little bit step up to achieve that great result that shines the team season?
Yeah, obviously to win right now in this championship is incredibly hard. And we've had two great results. We've been more consistent this year. Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, for a race like Indy, the amount of things you need to go right is unreal. Um, and this year when we got to about halfway, it was looking pretty good. Then we started to lose car balance with it, and that's unfortunately sometimes you have races the other way where you struggle the first half, and then like last year we weren't super shiny the first half of the race, and then the second half of the race became alive. So no, we're very close to letting all the pieces fall in and being in consistently. I think we can consistently finish in the top 10, in the top 5, and compete for wins at specific tracks. And you look at a guy like Alex Blow, right, who's won the championship twice now. I mean, the dude just finished his races. He won the GP, but he's always in that top 6, and that's what's keeping him up in the lead of the points. So, that's the goal, is to be finishing these races and to be finishing up front consistently, and that's what'll put us in the top 10 of the championship.
And the last from my side, they've mentioned before that you have a test coming up in just a few weeks in Milwaukee. But speaking your previous feedback that you have with a hybrid car with the hybrid power units, coming from Mid Ohio, which is the race that this new technology will make his debut in IndyCar. How optimistic, how confidence do you have in order to be competitive since the first race that this new type of power unit will make his debut?
Yeah, I feel very good about it. I'm super excited for the hybrid. One, for the technology side, for what Chevrolet and Honda are both doing to bring the series to the forefront of technology. It's cool for IndyCar. It's cool for the drivers. I'm personally looking forward to it because I very much can use the hybrid as a tool to help steer the car. And I found that out in the GP, that I was able to actually use it as a driving aid. And it kind of made me stand out a little bit more, in my opinion. So it is nice. That's why I'm looking forward to it, though. I feel like I can do a lot of amazing things with the hybrid unit, and because I have a lot of adaptability. So that's why I can't wait for it to be implemented. It's more for personal. I feel like it'll be a good personal gain for us.
Okay, thank you very much, Santino, and good luck for this weekend. We hope you have your best result of the season. That it's pretty good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Alejandro. Let's go 2 more here. Asher Fair from Fansided. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dave. Santino, great run this month. Dave talked a little bit about everything you have to look forward to the rest of the season. How much are you already looking ahead to the Indy 500 next year? And with so much between now and then, do you find it challenging not to get too far ahead of yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I was really looking forward to the one this year, after what happened last year. But no, I'm not. It's so far out. There's so many things that I've just kind of put it behind me. I'm not really thinking about the 500 next year. There's so many team things that we're aiming for, so many team goals that we're going to try to go for before this season's over that are going to take so much precedence over Indy for the time being. As much as I really love that event, we've got a big challenge ahead of us, man, for what's I think will be the next 10 races. So I'm just hoping that we get through Detroit and Road America kind of scot-free. I love Road America. It's a great track for me as a driver. Right now, Detroit has my full focus because we were not good there last year, and we definitely need to change that for sure.
Thank you. And then a quick follow-up. Obviously, you mentioned the Penske Alliance. A lot's been made of that. After Indy last year, your top road and street course finish was 16th. So just how much of a major indicator do you think Detroit is going to be as for your progress this year?
I mean, I think pretty good. I mean, we were decent at we were really decent at St. Pete. Long Beach, we struggled. I think that's very clear. Um, there were some things that I don't think we got right. There's some strategy things that we didn't get right. So that's where the learning curve of understanding what we can and can't take away from the Penske Alliance. But I mean, you look at Barber, man. We were nowhere Barber last year, and we were in it to win it. So if that's the case for some of those tracks to where we really struggled, and we have that full faith in what they're doing and implementing it into our cars and our systems, which is what the goal is for Detroit, I think we should be pretty good.
Thank you very much and good luck. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
You got it. You got it, Asher. Back to Dan to wrap us up. Go ahead, Dan.
Thanks again, Dave. Just a quick follow-up for you, Santino. You spoke about last week's of your admiration for Carl Larson doing a double. Obviously, that didn't quite work out due to the weather. First of all, how big do you think it is that we're getting such a big name compete in the biggest race in the series? And second of all, you've obviously done a bit of NASCAR yourself. Would you ever want to do it if you've got the opportunity?
Yeah. So Larson, I've watched Larson for a long time, man. I like to call him a good friend. The dude's awesome. He's a wheelman, drives everything, literally. There's not a lot of Pete drivers that will do and drive everything like him. I like to think that I'm one of the few, because I run the Chili Bowl every year. I have run some NASCAR. I do very much enjoy it. Hopefully he comes back. I feel bad because the media commitments that I feel like he does is absolutely ridiculous and insane. But he brings an incredible energy to Indy. So same thing like Jimmy Johnson coming to run the Indy 500. Man, it's such a cool thing. I would have loved to see Jimmy run in his prime though. I think that would have been because he did really well in the oval races once he started to really figure it out. But I'd love to see Jimmy in his prime, like when he's winning championship years, come run the IndyCar. So I think it'd be really cool. And yeah, I definitely want to run the double. I think there potentially could be possibility for it for me in the future. I think it'd be fun to go the other way because most drivers do it the NASCAR to Indy and then back to NASCAR. You don't have any IndyCar drivers full time going to NASCAR and back. And me and Kyle actually talked about it a little bit, and we think it's just you can hop in a quality car here at Indy, and you can't, you don't really have that opportunity in NASCAR because the field is always full. All the top cars are very tough to get into. You need to run it with a team that's going to run a really solid extra car effort, like a Legacy Motors or 23XI or Trackhouse, or RCR. Like that would be the only way I think one of the IndyCar drivers or myself, if I ever get the opportunity, would do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Santino. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, Dan, thank you. In case there's another follow-up, safe travels, hydrate, caffeinate. Are you all good? You swinging by Starbucks? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I am driving through some countryside right now, but yes, I will probably stop to get some energy drinks or drink some F3 energy that I have in the car with me. But yeah, man, it's I don't know where I am, but I just passed a Munchin Pump. So that's a new one.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, 176 miles from Little Rock. There we have it. Good
There
sign.
you go. There's the update, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Be safe and look forward to seeing you in Detroit in a couple days. Thanks for doing this. Thanks a lot.
Care.
Thanks, everyone. A reminder that the video from this news conference, along with transcripts, will be available on the IndyCar content site. And a reminder, the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix presented by Lear can be seen Sunday, beginning at noon Eastern on USA Network, Peacock, and of course, you can hear it on the IndyCar Radio Network. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.